Welcome to Know Your Candidate podcast. This is an opportunity for candidates from across Tauranga City wards to tell their stories, their experiences, their reasonings in their own words. A format which gives them more than the public debates and profiles that you've seen already. An opportunity for the voter, the ratepayer, future resident to get to know who you want leading the city and, importantly, are they capable of doing so? Anne Pankhurst, a previous business owner, councillor and political junkie, will find out more why the candidates want to run, where they have come from, what they're going to do. So let's not wait anymore. Let's go.
We're with Suaree Borell, who is standing in the Awanui ward seat this year. The first year that we've had a Maori ward, so that'll be very interesting. Welcome, Suaree. Welcome to Know Your Candidate podcast series. Our format today is to take the opportunity for a longer, more conversational approach so that you, the candidate, can speak and share your own aspirations for the city. We'll take about 20 to 30 minutes to talk about these things, answering pre-prepared questions, which you don't know what I've prepared. But the most important aspect of this election is that you vote, particularly in your own demographic and particularly in your own ward. Democracy works best when we all engage, actively take part, learn about our candidates, understand what is important to us for the future of the city. So remember to follow and send this podcast through all of your channels, and to follow Know Your Candidate on thepodhub.com. So Suaree, tell us a bit about you. Give us a bit of a rundown. Who are you? Children, no children? What have you done in the past? Give us that brief bio on yourself.
Kia ora, thank you, Anne. I am a homesteader from the Highlands of Whakamarama, and we are one of the founding families of the region that I live in, up in the hills there in Whakamarama. I'm the youngest of 8 children. I am Maori Samoan, and I have 20 nieces and nephews, and I count them as my kids, and my bank account can confirm they are my kids, so they're definitely mine. I run a research and evaluation consulting business for the last couple of years, but have been working as a person who writes technical reports and goes around collating people's stories and experiences of services that the government or people with money have bought. So yeah, that's my background. I consider myself rural Maori, so born in the country, caught 2 buses to go to town, and went to a hand-rung bell school. And I love my life, and I love this city.
That's fantastic. Thank you. So this is the first time we've had a Māori ward in the Tauranga City. Would you like to tell us why you're very keen? Do you get to collect votes from across the Motu or the country?
And the Māori ward is the constituency there is those Māoris who live within the Tauranga City Council boundaries, borders, whatever you want to call them, who are registered in the Waiariki role. And so those people are the people who will pick their representative for the Te Awanui ward within the Tauranga City Council. So there are, there are 10 seats at the table, and the Te Awanui ward is one of them, and I would like to be that one.
So have you had any previous governance roles, and if so, what would have been the biggest budget that you've worked with?
So my current role is as the Deputy Chair of the Ngāti Ranginui Runanga, and that has a operational budget of around 3.5 million, I think. I'm not a numbers person, and my skill is actually in people building, and I prefer dealing with people, performance, and strategy over the numbers. I tend to I listen intently, of course, in the budget conversations in the Audit, Finance and Risk Committee, but it's not a natural strength. So that's my latest role, and that's one that a cherished board role that I have. But I've also had lots of governance experience on Māori public health boards and Pacific. So my background when I started out, collected a string full of degrees from the University of Auckland, and then walked my way into a research unit with Massey University. And from there, I situated myself in Māori public health and worked across the whole platforms of things. And it was from that place that I started my governance experience. I've been on board since I was about 25, and I've learned a lot of things over that time.
Great, thank you. That's a great answer. So what experience have you had of either working with or inside of Tauranga City Council? Any at all or none?
No, none actually, and I'm excited by that. So I really look forward to the challenge of learning and leading particular initiatives. I understand absolutely all the components of governance, and I've been looking through their annual reports, the long-term plan, looking at where I might fold in best.
Did you need a sleeping pill or something? Did you?
Oh no, I fed it to the AI and I asked them I asked it to summarize and bullet point some talking points for me, and then I went and checked the pages. Yeah, actually, there's a when you nuance out how AI can work, it's actually really useful.
Yes.
You just have to, of course, you just have to be careful around. It gives you a composite view of the truth, and if you actually want to go find the truth, like most things, you've got to get up and go and get it. Yeah.
So what do you consider the main role of the mayor and the councillors of the city to be?
I consider both from a professional and private, as in my personal perspective, I consider their role to be the stewards of decision of a whole decision-making system across the key components of what it does, to steward the processes and decision-making around that table so that all people, all residents and ratepayers of Tauranga benefit. So there are wounds in democracy. There is a whole, you can talk all day and night about the woes within democracy, but if people don't actually stand up and want to represent their communities, then the table is going to remain the same. I've on other places and in other spaces, I have said, and I will continue to say, Tauranga City Council's biggest challenge is going to be building social cohesion around the table, rebuilding community faith and involvement in the decision-making system. So there are some boils, there are some things that were launched when the commission was going out, and then we were being put into this election. I think that is really going to be the task. So how do these next 10 stand up in front of our communities? How do they foreground their skills and their presence to give, comfort to the residents and ratepayers of Tauranga that we still live in an amazing city and we want to be even more amazing?
Right. So the skill set I'd really love to drill down on is the ability and experience in managing complex commercial and political environment, because that's what you will be working in.
Yeah. So that ability in and of itself isn't going to sit in any one particular councillor, right? So we will have a whole host of teams to advise, to guide, and give the table the information they need to make the best decision. So as a consultant, as an evaluation consultant, my job on the daily is to review evidence, prioritize that evidence, and then use that to make some determination of merit and value of a particular action. I'm more than well placed to do that in a councillor role, and have studied and have done the work to understand the way those mechanisms work together. So I've got a good balance of theory and practice in terms of what it means to make those decisions. In the context of the role, that means ensuring that the reports that are put through to you, that you understand them, that you understand the investment the council was making. And I actually think we can declutter some of the complexity by ensuring that we've got a balanced view of what the decision is that needs to be made. That includes having the most current and up-to-date credible information about the actions that the council are determining. I don't get into operations. I stay in the lane of stewarding that decision alongside the 9 other colleagues. And I really just want to say, when we talk about complexity and the skills you need to have, I'm just going to reduce that a little bit, because I think the skill you need to have is the ability to communicate across the table of 10 to make the best decision that you can for the constituents you represent, and work to that fairly. So you need discipline and some wisdom to remember that you were put there to make the decision on behalf of the people you represent. Is that complex? I don't think so. Lots of things happen like that in a household every day. You know, you're making decisions about what to eat, where you're going, how you're going to get there, what do you need to get there. No different to a council table, to be fair, other than maybe it's a few more million, even billions. So Tauranga has a $7 billion portfolio. Am I going to get into the minutiae of that? No, not my job, not my role.
Right. Okay, great answer. And funding for the huge infrastructure spend is one of the biggest issues facing the city. Do you have any solutions other than the ratepayer that you've thought of to solve that problem?
Yeah, I'm an ardent fan of growth funds growth, but also public-private partnership. So looking at the way that you can coordinate investments for the betterment, and I think that we can leverage business opportunities, and we have to remember the gift that we have in Tauranga of having the largest port. So we do have economic drivers in Tauranga, and we're currently sitting high, and we have done for a while as a city, right? We've done really, really well in that regard. I believe that we need to work closely with central government to look at what they give us in terms of that, the funding that they send out, that could be lifted. But ultimately, when I've come to think about what it is for ratepayers and residents, I think it's about no sharp decisions or no rapid increases. I think people are willing to pay for services should they see value, should they feel supported by those services. It's where they don't see the value and they don't feel valued in that investment, that you then get this huge noise, right, around, oh, we shouldn't do this and we shouldn't do that. So I think, again, looking at public-private partnership, looking at smaller increases over time with a thorough campaign around educating what we're paying for and how we're paying for it, so that people understand that it's across the board and on balance, that we pay, and we pay to live in the city that we love.
Thank you. So given that you govern at large, how do you see the collective action when it's not what you think your ratepayers or your ratepayer base are going to be very happy with, and that there's lots of decisions that'll happen to? How do you manage that conflict? How do you think you will manage it?
That's a good question. I think it depends on whether you're looking internally or externally to the problem. So the value to residents and ratepayers, because council is a service, is an organisation and a legal entity that serves ratepayers and residents within their borders, right? So it's really important to determine what way we're looking at them. From myself looking towards the Waiariki role and the Maori constituents on there who have voted me in as their representative, closing that link on whether I meet their needs is going to be a matter of unfolding a communication process to keep them informed. So again, and thank goodness, because I'm not a math person, there are 10 people, so you can cut that table. Obviously, you need 6 to make a good decision, but if the table fractures, you can actually get a decision across by being a mighty team of 4. And I'm a big fan of, I want to be at the decision-making table, but I want to be on the winning side of that decision-making table for my constituents. So there's no point in winning for me to sit there and just, I don't know, bless the muffins. That's not what the role is about for me. I'm not here to open the meeting. I'm not here to bless the muffins before we eat. I'm here to partner with the other 9 and check and review that the decisions they are backing want to partner and include with celebrating the vibrancy that Maori bring to this area. I'm a Borell, Suaree Borell. We belong to this area, and this area belongs to me. I feel absolutely deeply rooted to Tauranga. Tauranga Moana, not Tauranga City Council per se, but I'm proud of the city, and I remember the city my whole life, born and bred, and I really, really want to serve my community in that respect and the constituents of the Awanui ward.
So I'm just interested in your reaction to the view that Tauranga is a critical part of New Zealand Inc. and its economic growth. So
Absolutely.
we have to think more, sometimes might need to think more nationally than locally because of what happens here matters. What's your view on that? Do you see that as valid or not?
Absolutely. And I think under the current, so global trends and what's happening in markets and the way that investments are being made and shifted and changed along the way with with the government, with the current coalition. I absolutely think what Tauranga in and of itself is not a case study, but it is a model of what good city development looks like on all points, right? So on infrastructure, on how to build cities that communities want to live in, on how to grow civic connections, on how to build cultural celebrations and understanding that you can attract other people to live in your wonderful city. So I think it's really important to not just look at the economics, so not look at the profit and loss sheet of Tauranga City Council, but look at all of the things across the civicness of what we do. So that's, as I said, community services, designing and delivering them to meet the needs of your particular community. And I think more importantly, for the Te Awanui ward, it's about looking for partners who want to celebrate the value of Māori economies, Māori everything, that's the actual role of representing at that table for the Te Awanui ward. So Te Awanui ward goes across all of the wards. It's much similar to the mayor in terms of that he, she, they do the whole area. So you're not a ward candidate, you're not sitting in the general, you go across all of them. It's kind of like, it's quite hard to connect directly with the voter base, but in and of that reality, it's still a worthy task to put yourself to if you have a passion for supporting the leadership and the presence of your people in your city.
Thank you. That was a great answer. So how do you plan to manage the multiple competing interests of reasonable rates, new funding models, infrastructure, debt and deficit? And how will you choose between investing in growth and rate relief, which is creating quite a bit of angst out there in the community?
That's a good question too. What did we say? What was the other thing against rates release? What was your comparison?
Investing in growth. So the investing in growth or rates relief, and sometimes neither party understand the other's position, if you like.
Absolutely. And so again, this is the land I live in every day, right? So as an evaluator, I walk between someone who procures the service and the person who delivers the service, as well as the person who then receives the service. So I have to reconcile different accounts of truth and different value systems every day, and then write a technical report about it, and I'm the first one who gets shot. And I'm okay with that, so I'll sit there and I'll grab the popcorn and I'll watch this interesting tension across humans, right? And I observe that relationship, and I think it's a beautiful relationship when people come authentically to the table. Tauranga has huge challenges in front of itself. It's the most unaffordable city in the world, in the country. We've got household incomes, that they could be better. There's tension within that. So again, rates relief, as you've said, is something that you need to handle and manage really, really well. You know what, and I do this thing, and I do it because it's worked. And it is, what are the whirlpools and what are the rainbows on this journey that we're trying to undertake? Where that whirlpool exists, is it critical? Is it something we just navigate and keep one another informed of so that you don't go down any faster than I do? But more importantly, what is the rainbow on this horizon, and how might we be able to pull one another up out of that? And the other one I do is build it, bust it, buy it. What would you build on? What would you bust? And what would you buy? Buying is investing something. And I think that residents and ratepayers really need to ensure, councillors in particular, and the whole system of local government generally, really needs to take heart of that and listen to it. So what is it that your residents and ratepayers want you to buy? What is it that they want you to bust, get rid of? And what is it that they want you to build? And I think it sounds like nice and fluffy, but it actually works in the context of the work that I do, because I've evaluated numerous programs just on those principles. Whirlpools and rainbows, build it, bust it, buy it.
Great. Well, it's a great synopsis. So we've pretty well come to the end of our discussions, but there was a couple of questions I'd quite like to ask. How exciting is it for you to stand in the Māori ward, the first Māori ward? What would it mean to you to win it?
I am so excited, beyond excited, because of the pride that I feel for the seat, for the ward, and to present my my people in this way. And so my mother is Samoan and my father is Maori. And I remember my mother always, saying, if you can help your father's people, you have to help them. And she said they're good people, but it's challenging. And again, Māori and Samoan are from the same ocean, right? But even hers, I would have been maybe intermediate level. And there was this conversation that we just had, and I've never forgotten it. So I have looked, and I want to be remembered as someone who stood up to presence our people and celebrate who they are, because I am unapologetically Māori. I am absolutely unsurrendered in my belief and my people's value to this country and to each other. So I would love to have the first seat. I'd like to have the first seat in this, and I think it's a celebration of wahine. So, if it's truly a conversation, win or lose, I think I'll do a PhD on Māori wards and evaluate them in terms of their effectiveness and what they can do to add to civicness. And I would really, really treasure that. The other thing I've got to say about this seat in terms of what it does is, so Tauranga will have the wards whether or not the referendum goes ahead. The bill passed its second reading last week. So there are other cities who are going to have to make a decision that Tauranga doesn't get to make, because Tauranga will have the ward. And in that, I think the way that you disrupt a system is you do everything that it's not. And one of the biggest wounds in the grandiose idea of democracy is the two male dominators. So there's many males running out and making wonderful decisions. And this is from a Māori perspective, it's not from a Western perspective. I just think if you look at anything that worked for Māori, it was backboned by wahine, many wahine. And I think all regions who get a Māori ward, give it to the women. I truly believe that. Give it to the women.
It seems to be working, doesn't it? Because the regional council's got a woman representative, so that's good.
And Māori males in the coalition government that we have, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. And I mean that sincerely. Like I don't know. I just keep doing me and keep living my life. But I can rattle off 5 Māori wahine already who I know made significant contributions to the improvement of our life, of our cultural well-being, pohanga reo movements, te puia, all of that stuff was backboned by women, and any good Māori tāne knows, give it to the woman.
So one last thing, and very briefly, if you become a councillor, what is a legacy that you would love to leave?
I want to demonstrate the work and the value that a Māori ward representative can have to a people-centered democracy. So I need to, and I will fiercely defend the integrity of the role in the work and bring a quality set of skills to make the decisions that a councillor needs to make. I am the best candidate by a country mile. Out of the 3 standings, I'm the best candidate. I'm also the best looking, but that's neither here nor there. That's beauty. That's beauty and brains won elections, and I'd be running the country. I'm not, and I don't want to. I want to be the Tauranga ward vet.
Great. Well, thank you
Excellent.
very much. It's been a fantastic interview. Best of luck for the future. And remember to tell everyone to watch us on thepodhub.com and to particularly put your section through your own channels and your own social media. So
Thank you so
again,
much.
best of luck. And
All
you can
right.
go back to your moku's footy now.
Yeah, thank you. I hope she wins. All right.
Tune in to the next episode of Know Your Candidate to be informed on who you want to run your city. Got feedback and like to comment your thoughts on the episode? Connect with Know Your Candidate on social. This has been the podhub.com experience. Check out thepodhub.com for other podcasts and how you can even do your own.